Blake Lively stepped into that Fendi event in New York, carrying herself like the past few months of controversy never even happened. Meanwhile, the internet has spent weeks tearing apart her reputation after that lawsuit completely spiraled out of control. Yet somehow, she still chose this exact moment to appear at a luxury designer event, posing with expensive handbags and cameras flashing everywhere. But honestly, the footage coming out of the night ended up being far more uncomfortable than Blake probably expected, because the second those clips reached social media, viewers immediately noticed something painfully awkward. A woman standing beside Blake literally had to ask, "Wait, tell me your name again?" And Blake stood there forcing a smile while quietly replying, "Blake Lively." Then someone nearby asked, "She's an actress?" I'm not even kidding. I almost lost it laughing, because that single moment exposed the reality of her celebrity status better than anything else could. Hollywood spent years packaging Blake as some untouchable megastar, but outside of Gossip Girl, a lot of everyday people genuinely don't recognize her. And honestly, that's what makes this entire situation so ironic. Blake spent the last year presenting herself like a world-famous icon, battling for justice and standing at the center of some major cultural moment. Meanwhile, people outside a Fendi store were struggling to remember who she even was. The contrast was unbelievable. Then another video surfaced showing Blake walking toward her car after the event, stopping repeatedly to take selfies with random people outside while acting overly sweet and extra friendly. At one point, a guy in the background says, "She's such a sweetheart." Sweetheart. That word suddenly sounded very different after everything that came out during the Justin Baldoni fallout. Because after months of accusations, lawsuits, leaked details, and internet backlash, sweetheart is definitely not the first word most people associate with Blake anymore. But Blake clearly understands exactly what she's doing now. Suddenly she's smiling non-stop. Suddenly she's hugging fans, helping people with photos, and acting incredibly humble in front of cameras. Feels less genuine and more like full-scale damage control. Pure Hollywood PR mode. Blake knows her public image took a devastating hit after the lawsuit collapsed, and now every appearance feels carefully staged to repair it. But the internet was not buying the performance at all. News uploaded clips from the event, clearly trying to make Blake look glamorous, adored, and universally loved again. Honestly, News has practically functioned like her personal public relations department through this entire scandal. Every headline about her sounds polished like it came straight from a publicist's draft folder. But once people reached the comments section, the entire narrative fell apart instantly. The replies were absolutely ruthless. People flooded the comments with things like, "Nobody asked for this," "Justice for Justin Baldoni," "She's acting like nothing happened," and "completely cancelled." One comment accusing her of crying wolf gained massive support almost immediately. Meanwhile, the few comments defending Blake looked incredibly suspicious, like the kind of fake support celebrities suddenly get when their teams panic and try to clean up public opinion online. And honestly, Blake showing up at a luxury Fendi gathering during all of this felt wildly tone-deaf. Her legal team continues trying to frame her as some fearless activist standing up for victims, but then Blake appears smiling beside handbags that cost more than many people's monthly rent. Just felt disconnected from reality. What made the whole thing even funnier was the way Daily Mail described the night as a star-studded event. Star-studded according to who? Sure, Olivia Wilde attended, but most of the guest list looked like influencer kids and celebrity relatives whose famous parents probably didn't even want to come themselves. Lisa Rinna's daughter showed up. Reese Witherspoon's son attended. A wealthy Getty family heir was there too. That's hardly an Oscar-level crowd. And if this was truly such a massive celebrity event, why did the audience outside seem so lifeless? There were barely any screaming fans. Half the people recording Blake looked genuinely confused about who they were even filming. But the situation became even more chaotic once the financial side of the story started leaking online, because suddenly reports began circulating that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds allegedly owed more than $2 million tied to their enormous luxury estate project in New York. And honestly, the details surrounding it sounded unbelievable. According to reports, Blake and Ryan purchased the massive private property years ago using one of their LLCs, which is pretty typical for celebrities trying to keep ownership hidden from the public. Then, over time, they allegedly kept purchasing additional land surrounding the estate because Blake reportedly wanted what she described as a beautiful buffer around the home so nobody could look inside. And look, wanting privacy is understandable, but hearing discussions about expanding a giant luxury compound while average people are struggling financially came across incredibly disconnected from reality. Reports claimed Blake spent time in planning meetings talking about how meaningful the property was for her family, how badly they needed extra privacy, and how magical the land supposedly felt to them. But then the story took a much darker turn once allegations surfaced that contractors working on the project were not being fully paid. That's where things allegedly started becoming extremely damaging for Blake and Ryan because construction companies reportedly filed huge liens connected to unpaid work tied to the estate. Altogether, the amount allegedly climbed above $2 million. One contractor alone reportedly claimed they were still owed over $1 million, and immediately people online began connecting the situation to older rumors about Blake and Ryan allegedly mistreating workers behind the scenes. Once those financial allegations spread across social media, people quickly started revisiting past stories involving Blake's behavior in professional environments because this wasn't even the first time her name had been linked to workplace controversy. The internet had years of old receipts ready to resurface. People immediately began bringing up Blake's failed lifestyle brand Preserve, which suddenly became relevant all over again. Former employees had already accused Blake years earlier of running one of the most chaotic and emotionally exhausting workplaces they had ever experienced. And now those allegations were returning at the worst possible moment for her reputation. According to former staffers, the environment inside the company allegedly felt disorganized and deeply unprofessional. Some employees even claimed they spent months without proper desks and were forced to work sitting on the floor while Blake publicly marketed herself as this polished lifestyle icon selling luxury products online. Honestly, the irony practically wrote itself. Then there was the issue involving Blake's brother, Eric, who she reportedly placed into a major management role despite allegedly lacking any real qualifications for the position. Former employees claimed he constantly overslept, leaving staff members waiting outside in freezing weather until someone finally unlocked the office doors. Imagine arriving every morning to work for a celebrity lifestyle brand, only for the boss's brother to be too late to even open the building on time. But things allegedly became even more embarrassing for Blake after one former employee openly stated that Blake's later accusations against Justin Baldoni felt incredibly ironic because, according to them, Blake herself had created one of the most toxic work environments they had ever dealt with professionally. And that's exactly why many people online no longer believe Blake's public victim narrative. Too many old stories continue resurfacing that paint similar patterns involving both Blake and Ryan. And reportedly, Ryan Reynolds wasn't helping the atmosphere either. Former workers alleged that Ryan would occasionally show up and begin yelling at employees, which honestly matches the image many critics now have of him after the fallout from this lawsuit. Because for years, Ryan Reynolds carried this flawless internet reputation. He was the funny husband, the charming celebrity, the lovable Deadpool guy everybody adored. But after the entire Justin Baldoni controversy exploded online, public opinion around Ryan Reynolds started shifting in a major way. Suddenly, people began viewing him completely differently, especially once reports surfaced claiming he had aggressively inserted himself into behind-the-scenes conflicts connected to Blake's professional disputes. And now, for a lot of people, everything about them feels questionable. Their carefully crafted image, their perfect marriage branding, their Hollywood power couple persona, even the way they present themselves publicly now feels staged and artificial to many viewers. Then another surprising layer was added to the drama. Reports began circulating that members of Blake's own family allegedly had histories involving foreclosure troubles and financial issues as well. Stories started floating around online about properties tied to relatives facing debt problems, unpaid bills, and legal complications. Almost immediately, people online began wondering whether avoiding payments had become some kind of recurring pattern inside this entire social circle. Now obviously, nobody outside their lawyers and accountants truly knows what's happening behind closed doors, but perception matters enormously in Hollywood. And right now, the public perception surrounding Blake and Ryan seems to be getting worse with every passing week. But honestly, one detail completely sent the internet into meltdown mode. During town planning discussions for their giant estate project, Blake reportedly described herself as someone deeply passionate about history while explaining why certain old structures on the land needed to be preserved. And people online instantly reacted with, "Not history again." Because the backlash from her old preserve era never fully disappeared. The internet still remembers the criticism she received years ago for romanticizing old Southern aesthetics in ways many people found extremely tone-deaf. And that's the problem Blake keeps running into lately. Almost everything she says now somehow sounds disconnected from reality. It genuinely feels like she still believes the public sees her as this elegant, adored Hollywood sweetheart. But the atmosphere around her changed dramatically during the lawsuit fallout. And honestly, I don't think her PR team fully realizes how damaged her reputation became. And what makes things even more complicated is the fact that the legal drama surrounding this entire situation isn't actually finished yet. Blake may have settled parts of the conflict involving Justin Baldoni, but several connected legal battles are still ongoing and could easily drag both Blake and Ryan right back into headlines again. One of the most shocking ongoing disputes reportedly involves publicists tied to Justin Baldoni's team. And the details sound absolutely insane. Apparently, there's a major legal fight happening between Stephanie Jones and Jennifer Abel. Jennifer previously worked as Baldoni's publicist, and according to claims she later made when she left the company, her former boss Stephanie Jones allegedly kept possession of her personal phone. Not temporarily either, reportedly for more than a year. And Jennifer claims that device contained virtually every aspect of her private life. Personal conversations, banking information, medical records, confidential work communications. Basically her entire digital identity sitting in someone else's possession. Just hearing that alone sounds like a complete legal nightmare. But here's where Blake and Ryan allegedly become connected to the situation again. The argument being made is that information taken from Jennifer's phone somehow became tied into the broader Justin Baldoni legal chaos. Meaning Blake and Ryan could potentially end up subpoenaed, questioned, or pulled back into discovery proceedings as the case continues developing. And according to insiders, that is exactly what Blake and Ryan are desperately hoping to avoid. Because think about it, the first lawsuit already caused enormous damage to Blake's public image. Imagine another legal fight reopening all the headlines months later after the internet has already chosen sides. That's why Blake suddenly appearing everywhere smiling with designer handbags feels incredibly calculated to many people. None of this seems accidental. Her team appears to be working overtime trying to repair her image before another possible legal explosion throws them back into controversy again. But honestly, the public doesn't seem interested in helping with that rebrand at all. At this point, every single post involving Blake instantly turns into online warfare. And honestly, the funniest part of this entire situation came from E! News desperately attempting to revive Blake Lively's fashion queen image once again. Because E! News genuinely posted coverage acting like Blake entering a Fendi store in New York was some kind of major cultural event. I'm serious. The headline practically acted as if the world had stopped spinning just to admire Blake's outfit. They were praising her effortless elegance, obsessing over her fashion choices, and pretending the internet had suddenly fallen back in love with her style overnight. Meanwhile, underneath the post, the comment section looked like absolute chaos. People were dragging her non-stop. And that's what makes the whole thing so entertaining. There's now this massive disconnect between celebrity media outlets trying to rebuild Blake's image and regular people online who simply are not buying the narrative anymore. News spent paragraph after paragraph describing Blake's beige trench coat, her pointed heels, her jewelry, and her little Fendi handbag like they were covering some historic diplomatic event. Meanwhile, everyone online was basically saying, "Didn't she just come out of a lawsuit disaster?" Nobody cared about the outfit. And honestly, the funniest part is how aggressively they keep trying to remind everyone that Blake is still glamorous, influential, and culturally relevant. At one point they even started bringing up Gossip Girl again. Gossip Girl. A show that ended years ago somehow still remains Blake's biggest connection to mainstream pop culture. And honestly, that fact alone says a lot about where her career currently stands. Then News pulled another classic Hollywood PR maneuver. After spending forever discussing her clothes and accessories, they casually inserted the lawsuit into the article for maybe 2 quick sentences before immediately switching right back to fashion. Because that's clearly the strategy now. Mention the scandal briefly so nobody accuses you of ignoring reality. Then immediately redirect attention toward Blake being beautiful, rich, stylish, and supposedly thriving. Celebrity PR tactics are becoming painfully predictable at this point. And honestly, part of why people are growing even more irritated with Blake is because of how untouched she seems to act throughout all of this. There's something about the way both she and Ryan carry themselves lately that many people interpret as incredibly smug. Almost like they truly believed they could permanently control public opinion simply because they're famous. But the Justin Baldoni controversy completely shattered that carefully built image. Before this mess exploded, Blake and Ryan were treated like Hollywood royalty by entertainment media. Every red carpet appearance became a viral moment. Every sarcastic tweet from Ryan turned into headlines. Every little family story got turned into some wholesome internet obsession. They were positioned as the funny, glamorous, untouchable celebrity couple everyone loved. But now, people are re-examining everything about them. Even Ryan's public persona suddenly feels different to many viewers. His sarcastic, nice guy humor no longer feels effortless to people. Now it comes across far more calculated and performative. And Blake's polished image as the stylish feminist fashion icon completely unraveled once details from the lawsuit started publicly falling apart. That's why these luxury public appearances aren't helping nearly as much as her team probably expected. Because every single time Blake appears smiling outside some expensive event, the internet immediately drags the lawsuit right back into the conversation again. At this point, it's attached to her image whether she likes it or not. And honestly, the footage outside that Fendi event said more than any official PR statement ever could. The awkward atmosphere, the tiny crowd, the confused people asking who she was, the complete lack of excitement. None of that happens when a truly untouchable A-list celebrity arrives somewhere. Compare it to actual megastars. When Rihanna appears in public, crowds completely lose control. When Taylor Swift steps outside, entire streets shut down. Blake Lively walked out of a Fendi store and half the people nearby looked like they accidentally wandered into the event while searching for coffee. And honestly, Daily Mail's coverage made the entire thing even worse. Every few paragraphs, they casually reminded readers that Blake dropped the lawsuit, received no payout, and lost the majority of her claims. They weren't even trying to hide the shade anymore. And that's another reason this situation became such a nightmare for Blake. The second entertainment media senses public opinion changing, they turn on celebrities incredibly fast.